Aloha Exotica fans, welcome back once again to the Exotica Lounge. We've made it all the way to episode 9, so thanks for being here and thanks for all the support of the series, and I've got a cat in my lap. In this episode, we'll be talking to Darren Patrick Long from the Tiki Delights, an Exotica band based in Nashville, Tennessee. And they've really done a little bit of everything from Exotica to jazz, bossa nova, even a little bit of spaghetti western. They have an extensive discography on Bandcamp going back at least a decade, and Darren tells me he's not slowing down. So there's a lot more to come from the Tiki Delights. Darren was also involved in the Midday Mai Tais project that came out earlier this year, which was an amazing release from basically a super group of Exotica musicians. So I'll put a link to both of those in the description below. Make sure to stop in and check them both out for sure. Quick note, when we did this interview, the technology was working against me, and it really still is. So the video quality is going to be a little low, and the screen's going to switch back and forth between us. So sorry if that's annoying, but there's still a lot of great information, a lot of great stories, and just a lot of great music coming from Darren. So let's just dive right into it. Aloha and welcome, friends. Here we are with Darren Patrick Long from the Tiki Delights. Welcome, Darren.
Hey, thank you. Thanks, Andrew. Here.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So you're in Nashville, Tennessee, correct?
That's right.
Is it feeling tropical there today?
Well, actually, I was out and about for a while. It was back up into the 60s, I think, maybe 70 something.
Okay, not too bad. Not too bad. We're having a cold snap here on the other side of the mountains. I'm in Raleigh. So yeah, we're catching the cold snap here, but that's good you're not too bad on that side.
Monday and Tuesday here. It's pretty bad.
Okay.
I think. But now we got about like 36 or 37 or something like that.
Yikes. We don't need that. We got to keep it tropical.
That's right. Yeah.
In mentally at least we'll be tropical, right? So tell me about your project with the Tiki Delights. How did that come about?
Well, you have to go back to 2013 is when we put our first CD out. We've got 7 CDs now and working on number 8.
Nice.
And when I started this, I had no idea I was going to still be doing it after like 12 years. But so the first one came out, Meet the Tiki Delights, in 2013. And then I just kept writing stuff. And I said, well, you know what? I got enough for a second CD. And then it just sort of snowballed over the years. And it's been a good run. Been on a lot of podcasts, pretty good relationships with a lot of podcasters, and you get into a pattern of, having them debut your new stuff and doing the interviews, and it's been a lot of fun. But like I said, in 2013, it was almost like a one-off project, It was sort of like a bucket list thing. It's like, I know I've seen some of your YouTubes before where you ask, what your introduction to Tiki? Basically, it was in California growing up. As a kid, my parents had the Martin Denny and Arthur Lyman records. And so I got exposed to that pretty early on. We also had a famous Tiki restaurant in Stockton, California called the Islander. And I never got to go in there as a kid. My parents always went there for special occasions. But so I was sort of always into Tiki. And then, I don't know, about 20 years ago, because I didn't have any vinyl at that time on those guys. So I got some CD compilations. I'm sort of kind of digging it, like nostalgic. And then I discovered Tiki Magazine at the time. And I was just really blown away that there's groups like Tiki Orchestra and just a bunch of them. It was like, these guys are doing new Tiki music. I had no idea there was even a movement going on. To me, it was just all this nostalgic 50, 60 stuff.
Right.
And I got some of their music and checked it out, and I thought, no, I can do this. I mean, I grew up playing rock and surf and all kinds of stuff in California. And it's like, I grew up on this stuff. I can do this. So I wrote that first batch of songs. And right from the get-go, we tried to be a little different. It's not like all one thing. There's some tiki type stuff. There's some Hawaiian kind of things. We even did a spaghetti western song and kind of a loungy song. So right away, I was trying not to get pigeonholed, just doing strictly tiki or Hawaiian. So the second CD was like all lounge, just totally got away from the tiki thing. Then eventually started coming back to it. Which, as you know, when you have your own group, you sort of get that creative control. Somebody might say, well, you should put out another CD that's just like the first one and keep that thing going, or your fans are gonna freak out. It's like, I thought they were a tiki band, now they're a lounge band. But I always say, well, I'm just gonna do what I feel like doing.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like if you call it tiki, that's kind of a broad category, so you can bring in lots of different influences there and keep it fresh.
Should be saying Exotica, but we know there's bands out there that just do Exotica and a lot of cover songs and things like that. I never wanted to do that completely. I always wanted to keep it kind of interesting for us and the listeners. But, I know there's people who like the Exotica, pure Exotica, like I've seen you talk about that that they're, reproducing it just like Martin Denny, as opposed to, and there's some good points about that about the instrumentation. It's like the bell chime thing. It's like, well, Martin Denny didn't have that yet, but I'm guilty of using that.
Yeah.
Last song.
He definitely would have used it if he had it, I think.
Yeah, but that was a good point. And for the most part, we try to keep it fairly authentic. I mean, we use a lot of percussion instruments, not as much as you've got each collection. But, I play guitar and I have a local guy that's a flute player and also plays steel. So we always do live stuff. Mark Riddle plays vibes a lot for us.
Yeah.
So some of it's electronic, but a lot of it's real people, so we both try to keep that element involved in it.
Yeah, that's cool. And it's cool that, so you're the same guy is playing flute and the steel guitar.
Yeah, and he plays on reeds, so I've used him many times, to play clarinet and sax on some of the loud stuff, and he'll do flute. We're going to use him on piccolo, I think, coming up soon.
Nice.
My last song, Port of Call, Tahiti, he showed up. I asked him to play flute, and he showed up and goes, I brought my English horn. He said, I got some ideas for it. I said, all right, lay it on me, so.
Just in case, right?
It was good.
That's sweet.
So we try not to use too many sample things. I work with a guy out of Brazil who used to be a Nashville session guy. And he'll do tracks for me sometimes, drums and bass and a few things. But usually we'll try to be more hands-on and play all the instruments. And it's weird being, the technology is so cool now, because when I first moved to Nashville, shoot, we were still recording stuff onto cassette tapes and dropping it off at the publishers and things,
Right.
This whole idea of you cut tracks in Brazil and send them to me, and then the guy in North Carolina is going to cut steel, and then it's pretty amazing, the technology. That whole Mai Tai project was a lot of fun, because considering we were in 3 different states, the project sounds pretty cohesive. It doesn't sound like piecemeal, we were able to make it sound like we're almost in the room together.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like a band, playing. And I'll mention, for the people just tuning in, we talked about this a little before I started recording, but the project there is the Midday Mai Tais. And that's you. What were you playing on that project? Were you on guitar or bass?
I played mostly I played acoustic guitar because a lot of it was kind of Hawaiian based.
Okay, so
Okay.
you were on the guitar, and then you had Jeremy Kanye Manacora, right from the Manacoras was on there. Mike,
Still,
Mr. Moai, and the Tiki Heads. Mike, what's his Mike? What's his last name?
John.
Okay, yeah, I'm horrible with names. And then you had Mark Riddle, aka Marty Lush, right?
Sure. Helpful because he played not only some lead guitar, but he played ukulele. That really made the album come together, I think.
Yeah,
Did a great job. And then yeah, Mark did vibes and some, sample bass and things like that. And percussion. We kind of did percussion and it was pretty fun.
yeah. You had like a the Tiki super group going there. That's pretty awesome.
It originally started with the idea that we were just going to do like a compilation album. Like you give me two of your songs from different CDs and I'll do two. And I kind of screwed it up because I started writing some original music and I was like, hey, check this out, and they're like, well, I like this. And so Mark's like, well, I think I'll write something. And then Mike's like, yeah, I should write something. And next thing we know, it's this all original album,
Yeah,
which sort of created a monster.
right. And then you ended up all getting together to play it, right?
Yeah, that was a culmination of it. About this time last year when they were planning Tiki Caliente for May of 2025, Mark's real tight with Rory Schneider back there in Palm Springs. He does a lot of shows there. We saw we met up last year when Mark was doing a Herb Albert tribute. We had this wild hair. I told Mike, I said, hey, Marty Lush, his second name, Mark Riddle. So what do you think about going to Palm Springs? I've never been there. I live in California. I've never been to Palm Springs. And we can hang out there and we can see Mark. And he goes, yeah, I'll do it. And so we went out there and we met. And that's when Mark brought that up. It's like, hey, we're going to do something as combine ourselves in and get a little more, distribution kind of thing. And that just led to, I ended up writing 4 songs for the album. Mark did 3. Mike did 2, and then Jeremy did 1. And it was pretty amazing, just the way it came together, just real organic, And then I sort of got off base there. It was about a year ago. Mark said, hey, you guys want to come out and play Tiki Caliente? We could do the album. We're like, yeah, of course. So that was an interesting thing because I've never really done. I know you guys play live a lot. I play live doing some different kind of music. So we never played together. So we got all our charts and we had one rehearsal when we got to Palm Springs.
Okay.
Mark's motel room with all this stuff spread out. So we had one rehearsal and we did the show that night, and it was like, wow, this is really pushing it. But
That's hit the ground running, right?
I think we did a pretty good job considering.
Yeah.
We had a couple of guys, the drummer and the bass player, LA guys, and it was their only time to rehearse with us too.
Right.
We pulled it off. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. All the recordings of it I heard and videos and stuff that people took. It was like, yeah, you guys, you made it happen. That was really cool.
Just totally weird. This is how the whole thing came about. But so I'm trying to get caught up on my Tiki Delights stuff because we were working on that album for about a year off and on. And it was kind of a slow process just because everybody had to do their parts on each song. And then Mark did a lot of the heavy lifting. He found the artist in Australia to do the cover art. And of course, he was in charge of we did vinyl which is the first time I've ever done vinyl.
Okay.
He had experience in that, so he started that process going. We almost didn't make it, literally, because of some of the tariff stuff going on and all that. These were coming from like Czechoslovakia.
Right.
Right up to the last minute when we're flying to Palm Springs, he's like, guys, I don't think we're going to get the albums in time. They're sitting on a dock in New York, and we're like, oh no, what are we going to sell?
Right.
I was like, well, we'll just have to figure out something. And so when I got to Palm Springs, Mark called me over to his van. It was loaded to the gills because he does all the sound for Tiki Caliente. There wasn't room for like a toothpick in there.
Right.
He goes, I want to show you something. And I was like, okay, what is it, the t-shirts we did? And he's like, he pulls out a record and he goes, they showed up yesterday.
They came. That's great.
So, oh man, that's great. So
That's cool.
And we had a great kind of record release party at the same time as the show.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I've definitely done the thing where it's like you're heading off on tour and you're like calling UPS. It's like forward this package to our first gig, and hopefully it gets there in time.
It was pretty scary because we pretty much given up on it. And apparently he got a phone call from the duplication place and said, hey, we can get your records to LA by tomorrow. And Mark's like, yeah. So
That's awesome.
that was
Great
interesting.
when it actually works out, right?
we were totally merged out. It was fun. We had, the albums, we had bamboo flash drives. We even created a Mai Tai glass.
Right.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But I'm trying to, like I said, I'm trying to catch up with the Tiki Delights stuff because I had to shelve a lot of that. And that's why I put out that single just to get something out there from the Tiki Delights stuff. We did release our album early in the year, the Jet Setting album.
Right.
Came out like in January, February.
Mm-hmm.
But normally I try to get something out every year, maybe a couple things if I can, or at least a single to go with it. So, and the timing is always interesting because like Cooper, the Cocktail Nation, he does his last like real show in October. So you can't, if you want to get something played, you got to get it to him. It's always sort of like a deadline thing. I'll say, when's your last show? He's like, October 12th. I was like, oh no.
We're not going to make it.
Yeah, this year. At least with a single. I knew I wasn't going to get my album done.
Right.
But, and I'm sort of like Mark in the sense of I tend to take on too many things at once. Like I'm working on 3 projects right now because of a local friend in Nashville who was big in the country music business, helped run Sony Publishing. He's an old friend, and we were having breakfast one day, and he says, hey, you want to write some music together? I'm like, huh? Okay, yeah. So, well, what are we going to do? Because he's not a Tiki guy. I'm thinking, what's he want to write? And we both come from a country music background of songwriting here in Nashville. And I said, well, what kind of stuff are we going to do? And we ended up getting the idea of the Traveling Wilburys, which was a super group, in the late 80s with Roy Orbison, George Harrison, Bob Dylan, Tom Petty, Jeff Lynne. It's like, what if we do something like that, kind of like country rock? And so we latched onto that idea, and then we wrote like 13 songs, and we're working on an EP right now for 6 of them. So I got that project going on. So I don't have my own studio, so I go to my buddy's place, which is about 45 minutes away.
Okay.
And so it's like, well, what am I going to work on today? I've got this project, Tiki Delights. I'm working on it's supposed to be a secret, but I'm not trying to give it away. But Mark and I are working on a little project together too.
Okay. You heard it here first, folks. Right?
Yeah, we're trying to do a second Paul Hagen album. And he's just like totally stretched because he's also working with Jason Lee, with the Dark Entities. They're doing a full length album now. So we're all kind of, and I know you're busy. And those guys, I know you played with the Aqualads. Jeremy's got the Manicuras and the Aqualads, and it's like sometimes we all have to just slow down, say, let's do a Zoom call and just catch up because everybody's just so busy all the time.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
everybody's
like,
got 8 different projects and
or something. It's like, well, we're over in Europe, or now we're playing with some in North Carolina, and Mark is always busy. So I feel blessed when I can grab him and we can work on stuff,
yeah.
Keep focused on that. So
do you find so like with so many like different styles and so many things happening, do you have to like do something to get yourself in a headspace? Like now I'm writing for this project, or does it things just kind of flow and work out?
I tend to do that. I tend to focus on, like I mentioned, the Traveling Wheelberries thing. I'll listen to them. Well, basically what I did with my friend Woody is he wrote all the lyrics. They're all vocal songs. He would give me a lyric and I'd set them to music, which was usually in Nashville. Either I'd write my own stuff or I'd co-write with the other guys. And we both would do music and words. This was a rare time where it's like, I'm just going to do music basically. And so I listened to the Wheelberries, and if I'm doing this thing I'm doing with Mark, I would listen to certain artists like Mancini, and just to absorb it again. I mean, I listen to this stuff a lot all the time, but I'll try to focus on. I'm also working on a pop album of stuff. I've been working on this album for a long time, but it always gets put to the back burner because the Tiki Delights are supposed to be the focal point.
Right.
So when I'm working on that stuff, I'm listening to the Beatles. I'm listening to 50s, 60s stuff. So yeah, I tend to do that. And it's like, okay, I got to put the other hat back on and just absorb lounge music again.
Right.
While we're writing this stuff. We decided to do a 6-song EP, Mark and I. So it's like, let's just split it down the middle. You write 3, I'll do 3. We'll both play on each other's stuff. And it's like a mini version of the Midday Mai Tais thing. So 4 of us. So
that's awesome.
But Mark made a good point. And there was also, we were in the Exotica Modern magazine. Mm-hmm. We actually wrote an article. And Mark talked about collaboration, how important that is. And I know you've talked about it before with other guests, but it's a smaller community, but we're pretty tight. I mean, there's some competition, but we're all friends, and it's very supportive. Somebody, just like in this last month, Mike Young, Mr. Moe, just put out a new song. Jeremy put out a new song with the Manicuras. And we're all just very supportive, We said, hey, I heard your new song. It's great. Yeah, I heard yours. And it's not that competitive, It's not in a bad way. I have run into that a little bit with some artists where they're sort of standoffish. Like, the Tiki Delights are back. That kind of competitive thing. Like, well, my song's better than that. But generally, everybody's very supportive.
Yeah. I've really found this community. Yeah, for as small as it is, it really seems like everybody is focused more on collaboration than competition. And yeah, it's a really anytime I see somebody, I do sometimes I get into my own head and it's like, oh, this guy's gonna be mad that I'm doing this track or something, but yeah, and then they'll somebody will call up and be like, hey, I heard your track, it was so great, they played it on this podcast or something, and did you know they played it? And everybody's really welcoming. And then it always turns into, hey, we got to do something together and let's start, let's get something going. And everybody's really it's a great scene. I think that's part of I don't know if it's just tiki culture in general or musicians in general, but everybody's really open and wants, we all want more Exotica music to exist, right?
Yeah, everybody's, I was doing the second album, and Mark Riddle and I think I'd done his podcast at least once at that point. And of course, I knew he was playing with Tiki Orchestra at the time, and also with Aretha Lyman, and always doing different stuff.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things I just decided, hey, I'm going to ask Mark if he wants to play on my album, one or two songs. And he's like, oh, yeah, of course, man. Anytime you want me to play, just let me know. And I said, I'm happy to play. I'm happy to make you an honorary Tiki Delight. And he's like, no, I just love doing this. So you just throw it at me when you get something. And so that's how we developed our friendship, and the collaboration started that way. And yeah, it's just a really cool community in that sense. And I know you guys do that a lot too, because I was watching one of their videos, the Aqua Lads, or it was a video, and you were playing vibes with Mike and Jeremy.
Yeah, we all keep finding different combinations of each other, and we're all ending up in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool. It's like Mike and Jeremy they're like 3 hours away from me down in Charlotte. So yeah, it's a day trip, so anytime a gig pops up, it's like, yeah, let's all join up. And there's a group here in kind of based in like Durham, Raleigh area, called the Carolina Tiki, which is not musicians, but just kind of people that are into the tiki scene. So sometimes they'll have a thing, and it's like, oh, well, if we're all going to be going to this thing anyway, we may as well play something, and let's put a band together and play some tunes. And it's always funny. It's like we're all looking at the same tunes, and it's like, how do you do this one? How do you do Quiet Village? How do you do what's the some of the surf tunes? I'm bad with names, but yeah, we're all playing the same tunes, but we've all got a little different take on it. And it's like, so, oh, well, in this section, let's put in this thing that we do, and in this section, oh, we do it this way, and oh, that's real cool. So it's nice to see all that. Yeah, just how everybody kind of gets together on it.
The live show together for Palm Springs. Of course, we realized we only have 10 songs. We'd play the album, it'd be like 20 minutes or something.
Right.
So we figured, all right, let's do some bonus tracks from let's each pick a song or two. We ended up doing Quiet Village, the Manacura style.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot of fun, because I never played that song live before. And we all liked the Manacura's version of it, which is a little more rock oriented than Martin did. And that was one of my favorite songs to play at Caliente. We also did House of Bamboo, because Mark had put out a single with House of Bamboo. So we had a couple of cover songs in there. That was as fun as the original stuff.
Yeah.
We even threw in a lounge song of mine called Cosmopolitan. And I was really surprised the guys wanted to play that, because it's totally far away from the Hawaiian stuff.
Right.
I picked something else that was a little more neutral, and Mark's like, no, you want to do Cosmopolitan. It's like, you sure? And it was funny, because Eric October is an artist in LA. He does all my artwork all these years. He was at the show that came out from LA, and he goes, I'm so glad you played Cosmopolitan. That's one of my favorite songs.
Right.
Like,
yeah, that's always funny. Some of the times when we get together, they're like, oh, let's do this track that you did. And I'm like, really? That one? I thought that was just a throwaway. I didn't think anybody even listened to that one. They're like, no, we want to play that one.
Yeah, we did the same thing with Jeremy. I think he gave us 2 or 3 songs from the Manicuras to listen to, and we picked Congo. I think it's called Congo Glide.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot of fun too. It was a lot of fun playing. So I haven't played with a band except in the studio for a lot of years. I play solo stuff mostly. So that was a lot of fun playing with a band again. Unfortunately, there's not much of a tiki scene here in Nashville.
Okay. That was going to be my next question. Is there really a tiki scene over there?
I mean, there's a tiki bar scene, but not so much a tiki musician thing.
Right.
Which is surprising since we're such a musical city. I wish there was, so that we could develop more of a live scene.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just always too busy. It takes a lot of focus to do the live thing, which you've got to approach the bars and the events. And I was offered a couple of times to play some tiki events, but they're like in Indiana, and it's like you couldn't afford us because for us to go up there and have to pay the musicians and a place to stay and all that, and we're just going to play for one night. It's
Right.
like it wouldn't be worth it for you because we're not just like a college band that we're going to play for pizza and beer.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah, that appeal wears off pretty quick.
I need to talk to you guys because you guys are actually playing live more often and that kind of thing.
Some.
This North Carolina seems to be a pretty hot spot for live bands with you guys.
There's some stuff going on. I tend to kind of market what we do as like I tell them we're a jazz band
Mm-hmm.
with a tropical slant, you know. And sometimes that gets us in there a little bit better. Anytime I start talking Exotica, it's like, oh well, I don't know what that is. We're not gonna do it, you know. So I'm learning how to skew it so we can get the bands in there.
Yeah, sometimes you forget what a small niche it is. You'll say that to somebody. Well, what kind of music you play? Oh, Tiki Exotica, and you're like, what?
Huh? What? Yeah.
What is that? Well, it's a little bit of little jazzy. It's a little bit Hawaiian. It's a little bit this, and they're just like scratching their heads. So that's one thing I tend to do a lot too. Like give away a lot of free CDs because I want to expose people to the music.
Yeah.
I say, give me $12 and I'll expose you. I just like, no, I'm just going to give it to them because I want them to be relaxed and just check it out and come back to me and see what they think. And
Yeah. And that's one thing that I find with Exotica music and the broader kind of tiki scene with the lounge and all the different stuff. But yeah, people don't know what it is, but when they hear it, they love it. You know, I've never had anybody being like, "Oh, that's not really for me." You know, it's like every time we play, people are just like, "What is this music?" You know, I love it. I got to hear more of it. So hopefully, through, all these different groups, hopefully we're expanding it a little bit where people start listening to it.
I think so. And like I said, when I first discovered the new tiki scene, I was really surprised because it had been totally off my radar. And I thought, I had no idea there was Tiki Orchestra and, what's that group? Invisible Edison and
Hmm.
the Martini Kings and all this stuff going on. I was totally surprised by that there was a vibrant scene going on and the tiki bars were coming back and
Right.
the tiki events. I had fun back there in Palm Springs. I got to meet a lot of the heavy hitters in the tiki world. Otto, Stroheim, and Sven, Kirsten.
Right.
It's like these guys are legendary in the tiki world. It's like, well, I can't believe I met those two guys the first night I was there. I was like, these guys are like the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, that's where it's happening. For sure.
Yeah, I'm originally from San Francisco, and we're always threatening to move home again. Because Mark's in LA. He's right in the thick of it back there. I mean, he's got gigs in LA, San Diego. He can drive over to Palm Springs fairly quick and do shows. There's nothing back here in Tennessee. There's just like, if you're going to go to California or Florida, it's a pretty expensive trip.
Yeah, it's a long haul there.
Just jump in the station wagon and
Yeah.
you
And then bringing instruments and stuff like that, it's like ridiculous.
Yeah, I was a little nervous. I hadn't taken my guitar on an airplane for like 20 years. And so I was working with Mike on that, trying to remember how to do it
Yep.
properly and check it, check it as baggage. And everything was good. I had no problems with it.
Good. I always hear horror stories of, instruments being destroyed. So,
I know. I was nervous about it because I have a 1978 Takamine acoustic, which is my baby, so
yeah,
the only thing happening to this guitar.
absolutely.
I was carrying their guitars and gig bags onto the plane, and I thought, I don't want to do that. I don't want to put it. In fact, on one of the flights from California earlier in the year, I was waiting and putting my suitcase up to get my seat, and there was this girl standing next to me. And she was shoving her suitcase, boom, 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 and it wouldn't fit. And so, of course, I'm 6'3", so I looked up there and I go, "Oh my God, there's a guitar in there."
Oh, no.
He's against this guitar. I said, "Stop, stop!" But they put the guitar in a long ways, and so this girl was trying to shove the suitcase into it. I said,
Yeah.
That's why I'm checking mine as luggage, because
Yeah.
I'm not going to take that chance."
Yep.
So, but
Now I got to figure out how to get a vibraphone onto a plane.
I was just thinking that vibraphones, Jeremy with his steel guitar setup, somehow he got that out there. I never really asked him how I guess he checked it. Mike checked a lot of, Mike brought a lot of stuff. He brought like 2 electric guitars and a ukulele. And
Wow.
I was traveling light. I just had that one guitar. But Mark is pretty funny when he loads up that van of his, and then he keeps the vibes all together, and it's like blowing it through the parking lot, and he's doing different gigs in the Tiki Caliente, so it's like, come on, we got to move the guys. We're going to use
Yep. I've got big off-road tires on my Vibe, so I can like haul it across a parking lot and stuff like that.
That's cool.
That's good. Good. So let's see, you're working on a new album. Should we put a deadline on it, or are we just gonna see what happens?
Yeah, that's usually my downfalls when I do that. And I remember I used to do that, like on social media. Hey, the new album's coming out November 1st, and then it's like October 31st. I'm like, why did I say that? Because I still got like 2 more months to go.
Right.
Kind of learned my lesson, not just kind of hint that something's going on. And like I said, I'm trying to juggle 3 projects right now. So you have to kind of revamp as we're getting later in the year. It's like,
Right.
well, we put out a single, and we're just going to have to chip away at the next EP.
Yeah.
Probably be early next year. Cooper comes back like in February.
Hmm.
So I usually try to have something ready for him
Yeah.
on his first show. So, but of course the holidays are going on and life is crazy, and trying to get, if I had, a lot of the guys have their own studios. Mark works at home, and I'm sure you do too. And
Yeah.
Mike and Jeremy, it's nice when you could just walk, stay in your house and start recording. For me, it's a bigger effort. I've got to coordinate with my buddy who's still working and
Right.
work around his schedule and allow myself time to get up there and fight the traffic. And
Yeah. Sometimes it's a blessing and a curse though, because like when it's, yeah, my studio is like downstairs, and so it's like, oh well, I can do it anytime, so I end up just not getting to work. If I had like a schedule, it's like, oh, I've got studio time booked, I got to be there. Sometimes that might help, right?
it does it forces you to be more of a management. I've always been pretty good about that, where I have a punch list of what I want to get done in the 2 or 3 hours. And we'll just go through that list, and then I want to get a mix of that and just pretty much go through it like that instead of just showing up the song. What are we going to do? I don't know. You got to have it planned out.
Yeah.
because it's time and money. Mark was funny the other day. He said, yeah, we're recording a lot of stuff this week. And so I said, what'd you get done today? And he's like, well, I got everything done because I had to go up clean my son's room. We had to clean his room because that's the best room for me to record vibes in. And he says, there's no room in there right now. So I thought, well, that's funny. That's one of the side effects of a home studio.
Yep. Yep. Yeah,
So
and I'll end up doing I'll find it's like, oh, I'm going to record a part for this, and it's like, oh no, I took this to a gig and it's still at the theater and I forgot to bring it home so I could record this part, you know? It's like, well, I got to finish this gig so I can bring all my instruments back home.
yeah, you got a lot of stuff out that one video where you're doing the Mark Denny instruments. You
Yeah,
got quite.
I got a museum in here, a collection, and I still haven't even started on I was going to do another one with some of the stuff that Arthur Lyman brought in, and I haven't even started on that one yet. So there's more to come.
Yeah, that's one reason I love that stuff is because they were so experimental. And you know, the Arthur Lyman thing, I really get excited because I'm a big fan of the aluminum dome over there in Hawaii where they recorded.
Yeah.
And I love listening to that stuff on headphones. I've got a lot of the old vinyl, and you hear all this stuff going on, like garbage trucks.
Yeah.
And I backed that up. I was reading about it, and they said, well, Arthur Lyman sometimes didn't like recording in the dome because the garbage trucks would show up at 6 in the morning or something. And I said, I've heard that. I heard that.
Yeah. Yep. It's funny. I read something they said like that was their cue when it's time to go home and catch a couple hours sleep. It's like, oh, the garbage trucks are here. Time to go home.
Yeah, that's fine. But Mark had interviewed Arthur Lyman's daughter, I think, several years ago. And she was at some of those recording sessions, and she said they would do crazy things like, you know, because a lot of times you hear stuff panning, you know, something like a shaker, and it's like, and he said they were actually using microphones and running across the stage, the kids, you know, moving around on the sound stage.
So it wasn't the musicians moving, it was the microphones moving around them.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, there's somewhere I've heard it's like yeah, the I try to sit and listen to be like, okay, who's playing what, you know, and try and track who's doing what through there. And it's like, okay, I know who's playing it, but that instrument was over there, and how did he get from there back to that in time to play this other part, you know?
We make a little study on that because when we were working on the Mai Tais album, it wasn't a problem, but you've got 4 different guys producing their own music. We all do it a little bit differently. Like somebody might put the vibes right here, somebody might put them over here, put the guitar over here. And so I said, you know, I'm going to do a little study. So I put it just on Arthur Lyman on the headphones again for a couple of albums, and I just sat there with computer paper, and I just did I listened, and it's like, okay, for this album, it's like the vibes are over here, ukuleles here, bass is here, and I just diagrammed it all out,
Right.
the way they did things. And I used that as a template when we were mixing. And so I'm going to kind of duplicate this. We're going to put the piano over here. We're going to do this. Percussion's going to be here and over here. And we would do some of that stuff. Of course, now you can cheat and you can just pan it.
Yeah.
I know we do that with wind chimes a lot. We hear that.
Going through the whole stereo spectrum with one wind chime. Yeah.
But it was a fun exercise to sit there and, you know, just listen and go, okay, there's a guitar. There's this one percussion instrument. There's something else over here. And just map it out. It was really fun to do that.
Yeah.
I haven't done it with Martin Denny, but I probably should.
Yeah. And it's cool too to like when you start getting that in depth listening to it, and listening to, tracks over and over and over with the headphones on. And yeah, you start hearing all these little things that like I start being like, was that a mistake? Or did
Yeah.
they do that on purpose? It's like that was a weird thing, and it's like sometimes there's some stuff that is like it's really cool, but it's like I bet you couldn't do that on purpose. It was probably a mistake and they just kept it and it ends up being awesome.
Yeah, there was something like that on one of the albums, the Arthur Lehman albums. Uh, I think it was the drummer. There was a song where he starts out kind of quiet, and then it just builds in momentum, and he's pounding away at the drums, and you can hear the mic distorting because he's playing so loud. And it's like, well, there's a mistake that they had to keep in there because he's blowing out the mic because he's playing so hard. And I thought, well, nowadays I wouldn't do that. You wouldn't leave stuff like that in there.
Yeah,
Or
you would fix it now and lose that magic, right? There
there's
was
an
some
old,
stuff. It's funny. I'll listen. Lyman was real bad about like when he would switch instruments, sometimes he'd kind of lose time. And
mm,
sometimes he'd come in like he'd be playing a part almost like backwards. But then he had this real cool ability to just kind of shift it. And next thing you know, it's like back in time. And it's like, how did he even do that? It's like, and yeah, today it's like, yeah, oh, let's go back and fix that. But it's like, man, that's half the charm of it, where they're just kind of finding their way through all those complicated arrangements.
like you were saying in one of your videos, he'd have his vibes in the marimba right next door. So if you got to switch over to marimba for one song or one chorus or something,
Yeah.
you're doing all that stuff on the fly. There's no overdubbing. Nowadays, you can get so lazy.
Yep.
It's like, well, we'll just cut that guitar until we get it right, until it's perfect or something.
Yep.
So I try to watch for stuff like that, real human things.
Yeah. And
One of
that's
my,
how we defeat the AI.
yeah,
It's like AI would never come up with that mistake that I'm leaving in there.
right, yep. So what are you guys working on?
Man, I'm trying to bust out my second album. Um I've set my deadline. There's the Inahele Tiki Festival in Atlanta in January every year.
Right.
So I'm racing to see if I can get my second one done for that, so we can have an official release date on that one.
You guys have played that live, I think, right?
Yeah, we've done two of those so far, and we're going to be playing this one as well. So, and it's been a little different every time, so we try to keep things fresh down there. But that's a good motivator for me. I need a deadline or I'll never finish.
Right. No, that's true. Yeah, I did the very first one of those in 2019
Okay.
as a musician, but I'd written a book on the Omni restaurant, and then they
Mm.
asked me to book presentation, which I'd never done before. And it's like, oh no, I got another learning curve here. I got to learn how to do PowerPoint and put on a show here and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But that was the very first year, and they were working the bugs out of things. But they had some live music, I remember. But I noticed something sometimes with the tiki crowd. A lot of them are more into the tiki drinks and the lifestyle than they are the history. And
Yeah.
to my point, because the book, the historical type stuff was not well attended. But when they had the bartending championship, there was like 300 people.
Yeah, you can't even get in the room.
Parties. So
Yeah. Yeah, we try there's a little something for everybody, but yeah, there's definitely you can see which are the more popular things. And to me, yeah, I'm all about the history and the culture and all that kind of learning something, but everybody's got their different take on it.
yeah, I find it kind of ironic sometimes, though. But people like us and Mark Riddle, we grew up on this stuff and we just live and breathe it and know the history. And then you're reading about somebody. When did you get into Exotica? Oh, about 3 years ago, when I was in college or something. They had no idea what Tiki was. And now all of a sudden they're totally immersed in it.
Yep.
With the clothes and the tattoos and the tiki drinks and the home tiki bars. And
yeah,
that's why, getting back to the Tiki Delights thing, I said, when I heard the new music, I thought, well, I grew up on this stuff. I got as much right to record this music as anybody and write it.
Yeah.
And I just thought, why not?
Absolutely.
And the funny thing is that very first album has always been the bestseller, like on Spotify, Amazon, and all that. So it's like, well, I kind of have the golden goose there. I need to get back to that sometimes. I think about that. It's like, you need to look at that and figure out, this is what people really like about your music.
Yeah.
So don't get too far off on other tangents all the time. So bring it back to Exotica and a little more Arthur Lyman type stuff. So that's sort of what I was doing for Port of Call Tahiti. It's like, I want to go back to Exotica and just really kind of play it up and not make it so loungy and kind of deal. Yeah, that's what we ended up doing. So.
Yeah. It's always a balancing act between, it's your voice, you got to be true to yourself, but also, trying to be aware of what people are listening to and what they're going to latch onto. It's tricky for sure.
Yeah, if you get your own expectations, you can be disappointed sometimes. You're thinking, oh, this is great. This is a great song. This is going to blow everybody away. And you get sort of a lukewarm reception, and every song that you thought was not up to the level, maybe it's like, oh, that's my favorite Tiki Delights song. So you're kidding.
That one? Really?
That's why I just look at it like, if we're on the creative side, we just gotta do it, put it out there. We don't have any record companies or A&R people telling us what we can do or can't do.
Yeah.
So sometimes you're gonna flop maybe a little bit, but at least you got creative control over it, and you can learn from that, and you can say, well, I better lean back this way a little bit more next time, and rein it in a little bit more. But it's nice having creative control.
Yeah. It's definitely it's good to be in that situation where you can have your own voice, and it's like, man, this is the music I'm making today, and hopefully somebody likes it, but this is what I enjoy making for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's why I've been able to do this for 12 years, at least with the Tiki Delights, even further back playing live music and stuff. But I just keep going. It's like, long as people are listening on the podcast and buying some stuff, I'm just going to keep rolling with it. Yeah. I don't think we'll ever run out of material. I usually stockpile songs, like when I did the first CD, I was already writing songs for the next one. Yeah. And some of those I came back to on the last CD, songs that were written like in 2013. And said, well, I always liked this one. We never recorded it, so let's put this on the album. Let's re-record it or something.
Yeah.
Some guys talk about, well, I just don't have anything to write about right now. And it's like, I wish I had that problem, because I got too much stuff.
Right. That's cool. That's a great situation to be in, to have stuff ready to go.
Well, even in Nashville, they talk about writer's block and all that stuff, and it's like, I never had that problem, thankfully.
Yeah, that's good. That's definitely good.
And it's challenging that way when you're working on maybe an EP where you only got 6 or 7 songs. And Mark and I are going through that right now. He's like, hey, check this song out. And he's probably written about 9 songs, but we only need 3.
Right.
It's like, well, I
So
got,
you got the next 3 releases ready to go, right?
yeah, we're talking about that. So it's like, that would be what I would recommend to people is don't shut off the creative thing just because, well, I'm only doing 3 songs, so let's get to 3 and stop. Because I've been doing that this week. My wife's been in California and I have more time. And it's like, I've written probably 3 or 4 songs. And it's like, well, just go ahead and write them, put them aside. We'll probably use them for something. But
Yeah.
don't stop the creative process because you think, well, I got enough songs from this album now.
Yeah.
Because as you know, inspiration hits you at different times. And you're thinking, oh, this is really good. I got to write this down, record a quick little demo or something. And Mark does that too.
Yeah. Take it when you get it for sure. Don't, don't tell it to wait because it may not come back. Right.
That's right. Stockpile.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to, when I was playing, I had a gig for a while where I was playing like weekly. I had a house gig, and I mean that was incredibly inspirational, you know, because I'm always playing, so I'm always getting ideas for other things. And yeah, I hadn't put out my first album yet, but I'd be playing and I'd be like, okay, this one's going to be on my 4th album once I get the first one done, you know, because I'm always about like concepts, and so I'll have like, oh, this album's going to be about this. So then I've got to do all these others until I get to the one where this song fits the right concept, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of did that too. Early on, I was thinking, what's the second album going to be about? Usually, they always talk about you put all that work into the first album, you know, a couple years work or something. And then it's like, well, now what am I going to do now? You know? So I was thinking, well, I want to do an all surf album or do I want to do all lounge? I even had this idea, which Tiki Orchestra just did, of doing all this stuff kind of in a Herb Alpert Tijuana brass style. So I wrote a bunch of songs for that. That project never happened, but I cherry picked some of the songs out of it.
Yeah.
Some of the last CDs.
Right.
But you get concept ideas, and Mark and I are always talking about that. We get these, we're doing something about a night in a Chinese restaurant or something. And we'll say, okay, that's about 3 CDs away
Yep.
from where we're at now. But, you know, keep your notes, and at some point, and we're going to do another midday Mai Tais type thing too.
Yeah.
I heard there's a little talk about that. I don't want to take that on right away because I'm going to try to catch up on Tiki Delights.
Yeah. It's another one to add to the list.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be easy to do. It would take a while, but I think all the guys would be willing to, you know, do the same process again.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. It's good that you've got a wealth of material ready, because we'll be over here, you know, listening when you put it out. We'll all be waiting and ready to hear it. So that's cool, you know, that you've got so much in the hopper ready to come out to us.
Yeah, one thing I learned early on too was, you know, it's like the old showbiz stuff, like with the Beatles. They always put out like 3 albums a year and, you know, 5 singles. Because you got to be careful not to have too many gaps in there. If you take 3 years off to make an album, people could forget you, you know, on the podcast and stuff.
Yeah.
So I had that problem between album 1 and 2. It was like 3 years, and it's like, oh man, you can't do that. You go. So after that, it's like we've got to do at least 1 CD a year and put out some singles and just kind of keep it going.
Yep.
So that you're in the public eye and you're on the podcast. You don't want to ever get to that point where, you know, you took too long off and you go, hey, come, and he's like, you know,
oh, that guy still exists. What?
We're in band for 3 years.
Right.
So I promise never to let that happen again. So I pretty much average 1 album a year and a couple of singles if I can.
Yeah.
And I kind of preach that to Mike Young, Mr. Moe kind of thing too. Keep some stuff going all the time so that you've got something new to present
Yeah.
to the podcasters. And
Yeah.
I remember one of my friends, he's a great jazz musician, great writer. He helped me with a lot of my own stuff at one of his studios. But when we were first doing all this stuff, the Tiki, the Exotica, and the lounge, he looked at me one day, he goes, "What are you going to do with this stuff?" And I said, "Oh, well, there's like 5 or 6 podcasts that are playing it. I said, we're pushing some sales. We'll be in some magazine articles. We're going to be streaming and, eventually Bandcamp." He was just sort of dumbfounded, like, this is kind of weird music. What are you going to do with this? And it's like, well, I have a reason for doing this. I'm not just doing it so I can play, send a copy to my parents or something.
Right.
I have plans for expanding it. So he was just really surprised. I said, "Oh yeah, there's a marketing plan here. I mean, a way to present yourself."
Yep.
So
That's good. Very good. All right. Well, it's been awesome talking with you. I thank you for thanks for taking the time, amidst all these various projects. So it was great to sit down with you.
Yeah, finally, I apologize for, we had a lot of family stuff going on the last few months and life-changing events. So, but I appreciated the invite, and I was taking it seriously. I thought it was a really nice gesture for you to reach out to me.
Oh yeah. I'm glad we could make it happen and get together here. I know it's tough fitting everything in, but yeah, I appreciate you sitting down with me, and yeah, definitely be looking for more music coming out soon. And anytime you want to come back and sit down to chat, we'll definitely have you on here and catch up with all your mini projects.
I had an idea that maybe when Mark and I get our project out, we could do a 3-way talk.
Yeah.
With him too, because he's always entertaining, and
yeah, he's fun.
It'd be fun to talk about that project. But for now, I'm going to keep quiet about it because we still got a little ways to go. But we're
right.
Early next year.
Okay. Yeah. I'll be watching. And yeah, when it comes out, we'll definitely get you both on here and let everybody know about it.
It'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, sweet, man. Yeah, I appreciate the sit down, and I'll let you go before too much of the day gets away from you. But yeah, we'll definitely do it again. And yeah, thank you. Thanks for being here.
What you guys are doing.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you again soon. All right.
Thanks, Andrew.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
Take care.